Hello, passionate Celtic FC fans. This is Celtic Central News, your exclusive source for Celtic updates. Before we kick off, we appreciate the incredible support. If you love Celtic, subscribe now, hit like, and let's build this community together. Now, onto the latest news. A warm welcome to new subscribers. Your support is crucial. Hail, hail. Right, lads, the latest buzz from Parkhead is causing absolute chaos among the Celtic faithful. And honestly, it's the kind of rumor that makes you sit up and take notice, because we're talking about Angus Gunn, the shot-stopper who's been quietly making waves with his performances, now apparently drawing a line in the sand over team hierarchy. Sources close to the club, the ones who usually have their ear to the ground and a habit of spilling details that make Twitter go ballistic, are whispering that Gunn has flat-out refused to play whenever Callum McGREGOR dons the captain's armband. Now, think about that for a second, because we're not talking about a minor gripe or a bit of locker room banter. We're talking about a player, a goalkeeper no less, who's effectively putting his foot down and saying that under McGregor's leadership, he won't step onto the pitch. You can imagine the stir this would cause in training sessions, behind closed doors, and even in the dressing room dynamics. Gunn, known for his composure and agility, has always been a player who lets his game speak, but this rumor paints a very different picture, one of tension, perhaps even dissent, simmering just beneath the surface of the club's polished exterior. It's the sort of story that makes you wonder about the power struggles in one of Scotland's most decorated clubs, and whether this is a negotiation tactic, a personal grievance, or something deeper. Celtic fans, of course, are already divided, with some insisting that McGregor's leadership has never been in question, and others suggesting that maybe Gunn's stance could signal cracks in the team's unity, cracks that opponents might be keen to exploit, because football is as much about mental games as it is about skill on the pitch. And let's be honest, the idea of a goalkeeper refusing to play for a captain? That's the sort of drama that fuels weeks of speculation, social media debates, and heated pub discussions. Everyone's got an opinion, and everyone's got a theory, but the core of the matter remains tantalizingly simple and yet so incredibly complicated. Now, moving on, the implications of this alleged standoff between Gunn and McGregor are massive, not just for the club but for the Scottish Premiership as a whole. If this rumor holds any water, we could be looking at a situation where Celtic have to rethink their starting 11, their leadership structure, and even how they approach big fixtures against Rangers, Aberdeen, or Hearts, because the captain is more than a symbolic role. He's the heartbeat of the squad, the voice that rallies players during moments of chaos, and the figure who sets the tone on and off the pitch. Gunn's reported refusal isn't merely an offhand comment. It's a statement that could shake the very foundations of Celtic Park, where every transfer, every tactical tweak, and every leadership decision is scrutinized by a fanbase that lives and breathes this club. Imagine the scenarios. A match day where McGregor leads the team out, Gunn sits in the stands, and the media spins it into a full-blown narrative about locker room unrest. The headlines would be relentless, the Twitter threads endless, and the speculation about who might mediate or resolve the situation would be nonstop. There's also the psychological angle. How do teammates react when a senior player refuses to acknowledge the captaincy? Do they pick sides, or do they try to maintain harmony in the dressing room? Celtic, historically, has managed internal disputes with a combination of discretion and pragmatism. But this one is loaded with combustible potential because it involves personalities, pride, and public perception, all swirling together in a way that could affect form on the pitch. Fans are already theorizing about whether this could influence the January transfer window, with whispers of Gunn seeking a loan move or a permanent transfer to escape a leadership dynamic he doesn't respect. And the media frenzy would be unstoppable, because in today's age, a rumor like this spreads faster than wildfire, gaining momentum with every speculative tweet, Instagram story, and podcast discussion. The question hanging over Parkhead is simple yet daunting. Can Celtic navigate this tension without it spilling onto the field, or is a high-profile showdown inevitable? Digging a little deeper into the dynamics, it's essential to consider the personalities involved. Callum McGregor has long been considered the embodiment of Celtic's ethos, disciplined, vocal, and a natural leader who inspires trust among younger players. His tenure as captain hasn't been without scrutiny, but generally, he's been lauded for guiding the team through intense domestic rivalries and European nights that test both skill and mental fortitude. On the other hand, Angus Gunn, with his Premier League background and a reputation for commanding his area, brings a different energy to the squad. Goalkeepers often have a unique perspective on the game, observing everything unfold before their eyes, and they thrive on confidence, communication, and clarity from the defense and the midfield. If Gunn genuinely believes that McGregor's leadership style interferes with his own performance or conflicts with his principles, the situation becomes more than a simple personality clash. It's a collision of footballing philosophies, each rooted in pride, experience, and vision for the team. Rumors suggest that conversations behind the scenes have been tense, with management possibly caught in the middle, trying to mediate between a captain they trust implicitly and a goalkeeper who, despite his relatively quiet public persona, is making his stance crystal clear. This could also affect how other players perceive authority within the squad. Younger talents may feel pressured to pick a side or could be influenced by Gunn's stance, subtly shifting loyalties in ways that aren't immediately visible but could manifest in performance inconsistencies or tactical misunderstandings on the pitch. Scottish football pundits, of course, have been spinning this into a wider debate about leadership versus talent, authority versus ego, and how modern football clubs manage human dynamics in high-pressure environments. It's the sort of rumor that grows legs, gaining nuance and exaggeration with every retelling, and fans are already speculating wildly about the potential outcomes. Will Celtic intervene publicly, or will they quietly sort this out behind closed doors? Either way, it's a story that demands attention because it touches on pride, professionalism, and the very identity of one of Scotland's most iconic clubs. The timing of this alleged conflict couldn't be more dramatic, especially considering Celtic's upcoming fixtures. With crucial league matches, domestic cup ties, and potential European challenges looming, the team's cohesion is more critical than ever. If Gunn continues to refuse playing under McGregor, it introduces uncertainty into team selection, tactical planning, and even fan morale. The pressure cooker environment of Scottish football, where every result is dissected and debated, could exacerbate tensions, making what might have been a manageable disagreement into a full-blown crisis. Managers, coaches, and analysts will be scrutinizing every training session, every press conference, and every social media post for signs of fracture, reading between the lines to predict whether Gunn will maintain his stance or if compromises are on the horizon. Meanwhile, the supporters, who pride themselves on unwavering loyalty, are split between defending their captain and empathizing with a goalkeeper asserting his principles. The debate extends beyond performance, touching on respect, hierarchy, and the unwritten rules of dressing room culture. Could this rumor inspire Gunn to push for a move, or will the club find a resolution that reaffirms McGregor's captaincy while keeping Gunn's talents on the pitch? The ripple effect of this scenario is enormous, affecting everything from team chemistry to media narratives and even ticket sales, as fans speculate on what a divided squad might mean for critical matches. Every action, every statement, and every selection becomes magnified in the context of this potential clash, turning ordinary match days into psychological battles. The tension is palpable, and the whispers echo from training ground to pub chatter, creating an atmosphere that's equal parts intrigue and anxiety for anyone following the story closely. And then there's the broader Scottish football landscape to consider. Rival clubs, who thrive on Celtic missteps, will be licking their lips at the prospect of internal discord, knowing that any sign of division could be exploited on the pitch. Rangers, Aberdeen, and Hearts, for instance, will watch closely, analyzing how the situation unfolds and perhaps adjusting their strategies to capitalize on potential weaknesses in Celtic's defensive organization or leadership presence. The rumor of Gunn refusing to play isn't just a club-level issue. It's a talking point that ripples across the Premiership, influencing betting markets, pundit predictions, and fan morale nationwide. Media outlets will undoubtedly dissect every angle, from the psychological impact on players to hypothetical scenarios about captaincy changes or managerial interventions. The drama, already rich in intrigue, becomes even more potent when you consider the possibility of this story affecting European matches, where Celtic's reputation and performance carry not just national but continental weight. Discussions about locker room politics, leadership clashes, and player egos suddenly intersect with tactical analysis, forcing everyone from coaches to casual fans to weigh the human element against raw footballing strategy. It's the kind of rumor that thrives on ambiguity, growing in significance and drama simply because definitive answers are scarce, and every speculation invites more debate. Scottish football, already passionate and opinionated, now has a storyline that will dominate conversations for weeks, as supporters try to predict whether Gunn's stance is a temporary hiccup or the beginning of a saga that could reshape Celtic's season. The tension, the intrigue, and the sheer unpredictability of this situation are exactly what keeps fans glued to news outlets, social media, and forums, dissecting every snippet of information as if it were a decisive tactical briefing. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Finally, we mustn't underestimate the human element in this whole saga. Behind the headlines and social media speculation are real people, players with emotions, ambitions, and pride, trying to navigate a highly publicized career while balancing loyalty, professionalism, and personal convictions. Gunn's alleged refusal is more than a simple act of defiance. It's a statement about his identity as a player and his perception of leadership and respect. McGREGOR, equally, faces the challenge of asserting his authority while maintaining team harmony, a delicate balance that requires patience, tact, and psychological insight. Management, too, is in a tricky position, needing to protect the club's image, ensure performance levels remain high, and mediate between personalities without alienating either party. Fans, naturally, are invested emotionally, interpreting every development through the lens of loyalty and club pride. The entire scenario is a masterclass in how football operates as a microcosm of human behavior, a blend of passion, rivalry, negotiation, and spectacle. Whether this rumor is entirely accurate, exaggerated, or partially true, it has already sparked conversations that extend far beyond the football pitch, touching on leadership, respect, and the complexities of professional relationships. As the story develops, every word, gesture, and decision will be scrutinized, analyzed, and debated, ensuring that Celtic Park, already steeped in history, becomes the epicenter of drama, intrigue, and anticipation in Scottish football, with Gunn and McGregor at the very heart of it all, creating a narrative that fans will dissect for months to come. As the whispers around Parkhead continue to circulate, the narrative surrounding Angus Gunn's alleged refusal to play under Callum McGregor seems to gain new layers of intrigue every single day. Fans, pundits, and insiders alike are piecing together the story like a jigsaw puzzle, trying to determine which elements are fact, which are speculation, and which might be deliberate misdirection from the club or players themselves. There's talk that Gunn's stance could be linked to previous disagreements or moments of perceived disrespect that haven't made it into the public domain, painting a picture of a tension that has been simmering quietly beneath the surface for months. The human aspect cannot be overstated, because when professional athletes voice opposition to leadership, it's rarely just about football. It's about identity, pride, and principles that are deeply personal. Rumors suggest that this discord has already affected training intensity, with subtle but noticeable shifts in communication patterns between the goalkeeper and his teammates. Analysts are predicting that if this continues, the ripple effects could extend to team performance, morale, and even the club's strategic approach to domestic and European competitions. Social media, of course, has exploded with speculation, memes, and heated debates, turning what might have been a closed-door issue into a public spectacle. The situation is delicate. Any misstep, comment, or appearance can be interpreted as proof of division, adding fuel to the fire and escalating the narrative into something much larger than the initial incident. Every day brings a new theory, from suggestions that Gunn may push for a transfer to whispers that management is preparing contingency plans to protect team harmony and public image. The strategic implications of this situation cannot be understated. Celtic, known for their disciplined structure and tactical organization, rely heavily on cohesion and mutual trust, especially between key players like the captain and goalkeeper. Gunn's alleged refusal introduces a vulnerability that opponents could exploit, particularly in high-stakes matches where psychological edges matter just as much as skill. Coaches and analysts have reportedly been reassessing training regimes and communication protocols to ensure that team performance isn't compromised, while also trying to mediate the human element that lies at the center of the rumor. The debate extends beyond tactics, however, encompassing leadership philosophy, respect, and authority dynamics within the squad. McGregor's role as captain is not only symbolic but practical. He sets the tone during matches, coordinates on-pitch decision-making, and serves as a bridge between management and players. Gunn challenging this authority could disrupt the established equilibrium, making the delicate task of balancing performance and personality all the more difficult. Some insiders suggest that the club may have to consider alternative captaincy arrangements or even renegotiate contracts to prevent long-term discord, a scenario that would have enormous implications for the squad's structure and cohesion. For fans, the narrative is compelling, drawing attention not just to individual performances but to the drama, tension, and politics of modern football, highlighting that even at elite levels, human factors play a critical role in shaping outcomes. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.